For those of you listening, you know that I coach in the Freedom Club. I coach loan officers. And RJ joined the Freedom Club. He is one of our OGs because he joined the Freedom Club when we were doing our beta test. And that was 11 years ago. Can you believe that, RJ?
I can't. And it's gone so fast, but at the same time, it's been, such a learning experience through the years.
Yes. So RJ was one of the lucky ones, right? I would say lucky ones that Carl chose to be in our beta test group. When we first started the Freedom Club, we did a beta test and we wanted to make sure that it was going to work and that we had people that were committed and we were also able to coach them and get success. And so RJ was one of those people, one of the 6 original people in the Freedom Club. So tell us about your experience in that, RJ.
Well, you say joined the Freedom Club, but really I was accepted or chosen. So, I felt really special to be a part of the beta group. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I was ready. I remember when I first joined, one of the stipulations was you had to have an assistant, and I didn't have an assistant. So I was given 30 days to find an assistant, and I completely did it wrong, learned a lot of things, and have moved on to building a team in a much smarter and wiser way through the help of the Freedom Club. But back then it was just, I don't even know if we called it the Freedom Club, but it was just, there was actually 7 of us, I think, back then. And
Yes.
we just got together and met each other and shared ideas. That was pretty much all there was to it.
Yeah. And we did the one-on-one coaching, and then we got together with Carl and he did a call every couple of weeks, remember? And we would all get together
Yep.
and we had a
Yep.
Facebook group, and it was just those 7 people in that group. And it was a fun way to get
Yeah.
started. We were kind of
Yeah.
testing the waters to see how it went. And then at the end of the
Yep.
90 days, so what kind of improvement did you see in your business just with the beta test back then?
I remember intentionally getting out there and starting to do things that I wasn't before, because I was pretty much a refi loan officer before, calling internet leads, didn't know really a better way to do it. And just that little bit of being around other people that were committed to success early on there gave me enough to just kind of get the wheels going and start doing some different things to get out there and make relationships. And I remember seeing a pretty significant increase in business just in the first 90 days.
Yes, it was amazing. There was a 188% increase in pipelines, and there was really good closings as well. I had to keep track of it. I promised Carl I would track it 100%. And so we have all the stats, and they were pretty amazing stats. But that's because you guys were committed to doing it. And I know for sure you were committed. And all these years later, you're still in the Freedom Club. And I am so proud of that. I'm so proud of you for everything that you've done. You invested in yourself, because after that first 90-day trial run, that was free, right? You didn't pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we said,
Yep.
okay, who wants to join? And you and all except one person got out of the mortgage business, wasn't quite the right fit for what he wanted, but everyone else joined and started in the Freedom Club. And you are still here today. And I think it's amazing the commitment that you have made to stick with it. Something, I remember one day, I don't know if you remember saying this, but you said to me, I'll always be in the Freedom Club. That's not something I'm ever going to not be part of. And I'm excited for you. Throughout all these 10 years, I was able to one-on-one coach you. I've been able to watch your kids grow up. I've been able to meet your wife, to see what you have accomplished in your business. It's been amazing. So tell us a few things that were goals of yours when you first started coaching and what you ended up doing with some of those goals. And I don't mean number goals. I'm talking about things that you wanted to accomplish that you feel like you've gotten a pretty good handle on over the last 10 years, 11 years.
Yeah. There was some key things. Like, one was that life balance that that's where the name came from, Freedom Club. And I didn't have that. I remember way back, I don't know how long ago this was, 9 years ago, maybe. We were at Disney World with the family. My kids were little, and I spent literally every time we were waiting in line for a ride, I was on my phone, making calls, responding to emails, trying to close loans. I still hadn't figured out the team building thing at that point. I remember being up at the hotel until 1 in the morning working on stuff and then getting up the next day and being exhausted. And that trip stands out in particular as a moment in time where I said there has to be a better way, and I have to figure this out as far as the team building. So that was one of my big goals, to figure out how to build a team, how to do things in a smarter way so that I could focus on those things that are the most important. Not that business isn't important, but I just realized how fast my kids were going to grow up, and now they're 16 and 15 and almost out of the house. So I feel very fortunate to have found the Freedom Club and to learn ways to do that, because otherwise I would have probably still been doing that even today. So the team building goes hand in hand with that. The other big one was establishing relationships that would lead to long-term sustained business, so that I wouldn't be on the roller coaster.
And you've done that really well. So you have a podcast. Yeah. So tell us about your podcast.
So it's called Real Estate Agent Superstars. And I basically have conversations with top producing agents about what they're doing to be successful. And
that's awesome.
We just got to go in this year, and it's been just really awesome. It's been a great way to meet new agents and to deepen those relationships with the ones that I already knew before the podcast. And it's been awesome.
That is so great. And I've heard a couple of the episodes. They're awesome. And you're highlighting agents that are doing things that are successful in their business. And so you're helping everybody, because then people get tips from that as well. That is so great.
That's right. Yeah.
And I love the way you have put your team together. I love the way, I know that you've been through a few people, right? Everyone is. All the loan officers, You're not going to find, very rarely will you find the right one the first time you try, right? You're going to have to go through a few people, and it's okay, but you learn a lot during that time. So tell us what you've learned as you've built your team, like how to hire, who to hire, how to keep them on or not keep them on, depending on what they do.
Yeah, I mean, those are good questions. That's a lot of questions right there. But one thing I've learned is to hire slow and to take your time, to not just hire anybody. Like going back to when I first joined the Freedom Club and I was told that I had to have an assistant within 30 days. I mean, I just put ads out there and hired whoever with no plan at all with what they were going to do. And it was a complete disaster. So I learned the hard way there. I've also learned with other people I've hired that I've maybe been too anxious to hire, or maybe hiring out of a place of desperation that I needed someone because I was so overwhelmed. I've learned that that's not the smartest way. It's better to take your time and to really make sure you vet the person and really know who they are, and that they, a big thing is that they share the same values as you and kind of march to the same drumbeat, because you're going to be working intimately with this person. So it's important that you have the same kind of mindset and the same work ethic, and that you hire someone that has those values that you value, so they fit into your team well, because that chemistry is so important. I've hired people that were not good on the chemistry, and it messed up the entire team, not just my relationship with them. But another thing I've learned is to define what they're going to do, which is super important. Like something we do in the Freedom Club called the Acts of Freedom, and taking all the stuff you do throughout the day and figuring out which things you could delegate to that next person that you hire, and who does what within your business. That can really help to bring in the focus as to who you're going to hire.
Yes.
I found that's been super important with hiring. Now, lately, this is 2023, we've actually had to let some people go, but I've also done that in I think a wise way, or a systematic way, to make sure that we're still efficient with the people that we do have.
And the people that you have are the top-notch people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My main production partner, loan partner, has been with me now. I think it's 6 years, maybe 7 years.
That's so amazing. And we had the honor of training him when we came. You invited us to, so the loan team training business, you invited us to Denver, and we were able to have an event there. That was quite a few years ago.
Yeah.
And you had your team there, and he was in that training. He's amazing. He's a great loan partner.
Yeah. Yep. He's committed, hardworking. He just gets it done. And I've learned also to trust and to allow, him to do what he's going to do. And, he's human. He makes mistakes sometimes, and I do too. And we just work through it, and he gets better because of it. He's committed to being better every day, just like I am. So
Yes.
that really helps.
That helps a lot. So did he have the experience that you were looking for when you hired him, or did you train him mostly in the loan part of it?
I don't, at the time, I don't know if he did or I thought he didn't, but I think he had the exact right experience because he was about 1 year in the business at the time. So he'd been trained on the basics. So he knew how to take a loan application. He knew some basic loan programs. He knew a little bit, like he knew how to price a loan, that kind of stuff. That's actually, I think, perfect because he didn't have very many bad habits at that point. He just
Yeah.
knew enough to be dangerous, I guess you could say, and then I could mold him into what I wanted. So looking back, it was a genius hire at that point in his career, but I don't know if I knew that at the time. But that's what I think is the best of all worlds. If someone else has already trained the basics, and then you can bring them in and train them to your process.
Yes. And I like that because like you said, I agree with you 100% that a big part of it, yes, they need to know the business. They need to know how to do things in the loan business, but you need to have somebody that is on the same page as you in the way you look at things, how you talk to clients, how you treat clients, how you work with referral partners. All of that needs to be, you guys need to be in sync, right? With all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's more important than
absolutely.
anything because they catch your vibe, they know how you work with people, and they're on the same page and want to serve the clients and the referral partners just as much as you do. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big one. In training, when we do the training for loan partners, we do our wow training. We teach them that. We talk about how important it is that they're on the same page as the loan officer, that they're there to support the loan officer and help the business to grow and give amazing white glove service, wow service to the clients and to the referral partners. And in order to do that, they have to be on the same page as the loan officer. And so who you
Mm-hmm.
hire really matters. Yeah, it
Well,
really
I'll
does.
have to say your training was pivotal for him. It made a huge difference with the job he did. I mean, it wasn't where he instantaneously changed, but he had more of that framework or mindset of what we were really looking for, and he understood what we're doing in the Freedom Club and how he could best support me. So he took that and he used that to get better and better through the years. And now it's just like I trust him with everything. Realtors typically will call him directly, so I'm
Mhm.
not having to deal with the day to day. Hey, send me a pre-approval letter or whatever it is. I'm able to focus on things that help to build the business more.
Because you're building the relationship and that relationship will go further with leads. But that isn't why you do it. You do it because you want to build a relationship and you want to put them in a place where they can help people, because that's what this business is all about. You and I, the reason we connect so well, you and I and Jing, is because we have the same philosophy. It's not about closing people. It's not about selling people. It's about offering something that people need in a way that they need it. It's building that relationship. And sometimes, like you said, sometimes they'll give you a lead and sometimes they won't. But either way, you've made a friend and you've built a relationship. And they may refer you to somebody else because of that, but they trust you.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
It's very important to me that I am able to sleep at night or look at myself in the mirror. It's especially transitioning from a job that I was very, very proud of, being able to I guess, potentially change the world, 100 students at a time per year. So
Definitely.
it was very important for me. If I'm going to transition to another profession, that I'm still going to have that same sense of fulfillment. And,
Yes.
fortunately, I'm very lucky. Fortunately, I think, I think I found it, and I think, I'm still continuing to grow in this position, and I'm very excited to see, where this goes.
Yeah. The thing about sales is people think that sales is all about just selling. It's about, yeah, we just want the result. We just want to close. But sales, when you really get down to what sales really is you have a service that you're offering somebody that they need. And so you're helping them to have a great experience. When they come to you and your team, you're actually helping them to have an amazing experience. And that's what we teach in the WOW training. It's teaching the loan partners and the other people, business development reps, and all of the support staff that when they ask for referrals, they're actually helping people, because there are story after story about loan officers out there that didn't treat them the way they should, that did make them feel bad because they couldn't qualify, all of those things. And they don't have to worry about that when they come to your team, because you're selling them for the right reason. It's because you're going to give them amazing wow service. That's why we're on the same page.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, this idea of cold calling and, oh man, I might get rejected, but, just to follow up what you're saying, an agent would never know that you are providing this specific service, this great, amazing service, if it wasn't for reaching out. And I think for me, I think for me, I've always felt that, I never like to feel victimized, that, life is kind of faded and I'm kind of stuck where I am. I always like to feel like there's a way you can take control of your life. And in this case, by reaching out to agents, it's my way of taking control of my destiny, because each call that you make is you're getting in front of a person who may not have ever heard of you before, and they may need your service. I have so many, experiences where I called an agent that just had a huge fallout with their lender because their lender just wasn't producing the results that they wanted. And we were just at the right place at the right time. And you never know until you call.
Yes.
And to me, it's just nothing more euphoric than that.
So true.
Not only are we connecting with great people, great agents, we're providing an amazing service. And I get a lot of rejections, don't get me wrong, but those successes far outweigh the euphoric of the successes far outweigh the rejection, the quote unquote rejections.
Yes. Oh, it's so true. It's so true. So you and Jing together have been an amazing team, and you started coaching with me in April of 22, or at least Jing did. And then you guys coach together now. And so you left your teaching position in 2022. And I like to call you an agent calling machine. I always call you that, but it's not really a machine. I say machine because of the way you do it, with a systematic process, and that you are committed to doing it no matter what. That's why I'll call you a machine. You're not a machine in the way you treat people. You're a machine in the fact that you're committed to it. And no matter what, you're going to make those calls, and you're going to take whatever they say, yes or no, you're going to take it. And what I love about what you've done is that you took your first vacation with Jing having no cell phone, no laptop on her, with her, for your Disney cruise. And if I remember right, it was in October of 22, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And you sent me a picture for Halloween. Yeah. So tell us about that. What did that feel like?
It was unbelievable. I think, our culture heard so much without proper definition. And I guess everybody has their own definition of unbelievable. But for me, it was just, while I was teaching for many years before I transitioned to mortgages, it was like, Jing was always, my lender, my wife, Jing, was always, her head was in the loan, her head was in the file. And, it was very, she was accessible, but then not accessible at the same time. Mm-hmm. That makes sense, she would be here, but then she's not present, and we got that a lot. And that was one of my major concerns, when we had our daughter. It's like, I'm going to be present, and I'm going to be the best father for my child, 100%, best parent that I can be for my child. But then it's like, oh man, you're always in the file, Jing. It's like, when are you going to find time to spend, with your child? And it was just incredible and unbelievable that as time progressed, after I transitioned over, we, things started getting, lighter and lighter. We were making some hirings as well. That was definitely helping Jing in the back office. And of course, your guidance too, it helped us position ourselves in a way where, we can actually take this 1 week to to go on a Disney cruise. And it was just unbelievable, the memory that we created. Me, Jing, and Maxine, our daughter Maxine, it just unbelievable. All the videos and pictures we took, and it's like, this is priceless. It's just unbelievable in that sense. It's just priceless. I never thought that we would get to a place where Jing could be 1 week without any phone, any technology, no head in the file. In that sense, it's unbelievable.
That's so great. That's so great. And it took a lot of work on Jing's part to progress to that point, because almost every loan officer that we meet, almost everyone that I've ever met, that I've ever coached, has started out that way, that they can't get their head out of the file. They don't have enough help. So we take them step by step to get help, to get the right help, not just help, but the right help, and teach them the right way and get them trained. And that's part of what we do in loan team training, is by training the staff to do that. And so I'm so proud of Jing for doing that. She has worked really hard. It's not easy when you have spent your whole career being the one that everybody comes to. It's your baby. Like, you created this baby from infancy, from the time it was born, basically. I'm talking about the business. And so it's really hard to let go, but Jing has learned how to do that. And of course, it's step by step, and everyone goes at their own pace. But when you sent me that picture, when I knew you were going and you sent me the picture, and I saw that it was successful, that she really unplugged, and you guys had this time of your life, and the look on Jing's face was amazing, and the look on your face, and it just made me so grateful. So I wanted you to share that, because this is a very common situation in the mortgage business. And in the Freedom Club, we are all about freedom. Right now, we're in a time where we may have to work a little bit more than normal. We're in a season right now. Right now, it's July of 2023, and we are in a season right now. We've been in a season for a while that's been difficult after a really great few years, right? The thing is that's what we're about, is having freedom. As a mortgage advisor, you know that having a high-performing loan team is critical to building a successful business. But training them can be time-consuming, and it can detract from more important tasks like generating leads and growing your business. But that's where we come in. We created Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp, a self-paced online course available immediately to train your team, including newer loan officers, on how to actually do mortgage loans. Our course takes them step by step through the process, from taking a complete loan application to creating effective communication with clients, referral partners, and team members. When they complete the class, they will have the training to be an asset to you and your mortgage business. Visit loanteamtraining.com and navigate to the Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp tab to review our course details and enroll. With our training, you can confidently delegate and devote your time to growing your business even more. For loan officers, what is the best way for them to get started? Just dip their toe in the water, so to speak, if they haven't really done much. Like, everyone's on social media.
Right.
But not everyone's posting, not everyone's doing what they could. What's a good way for them to get started? Give us a tip.
Yeah. So like you said, not everyone is on social media. If I ask you if you've scrolled Instagram or Facebook, the answer is, going to be a resounding yes. Are you using it for business consistently? That's usually the one where everyone's hands kind of go down. And so when you're getting started or you're trying to ramp up your business pages, obviously start with creating your business page or working on converting your bio on your pages. That's going to be first and foremost. You want to tell people who you are, where you do, loans, right? One of my biggest pet peeves is when I go to your page, if I don't know if I can work with you, that's going to be hard. So where you do business, who you serve, if you have a niche, right? Like if you are just the guru when it comes to USDA loans, then tell people that. Really making sure you have a solid bio, and then you have a plan in place. I think that's where a lot of people kind of crumble, is not having like a strategy or a plan in terms of, okay, I can allot myself 3 days a week to post. Not all 5, right? That takes way too much time, way too much energy. but I can commit to 3 days a week. And in order to do that, we got to backtrack. We got to say, okay, well, I'm going to work on these 3 posts on the Friday before, or I'm going to work on all 12 posts for the month on one Monday before the month starts, and create all of that content. So on those 3 days that you plan to post, you're not like, oh crap, I didn't post, or I don't have content, or anything like that. You have that strategy and that plan and that content already ready for you.
So
and
batching your time, right?
Exactly. Batching time, batching your content, and then using tools to help you. ChatGPT, AI, all of those things right now are, I mean, easy, handing you like content on a platter, right? So use some of those tools to really help streamline that process for you. I think that's crucial and key for anyone in the loan industry, any business, honestly.
Yes. And you know, people talk about AI. There are some people that are saying AI is great, but it's not my voice. Tell us how AI becomes your voice.
Yeah, literally treating it like a virtual assistant, right? So let's take ChatGPT, for example. That's what I use primarily for my business. And you have to talk to it like it's a virtual assistant. So if it spits out something that you don't like, or words that you don't typically use, you tell it, right? If you hired a new employee and you were trying to train them and they did something you didn't like, or that wasn't within your values or your business streamline, you would tell that person. You wouldn't just be like, oh, okay, I'll take it and I'll fix it myself. No, you want them to fix it.
Right.
So it's the same concept there. You just tell ChatGPT, hey, I don't like this version, or I want to use words like some of the things that they do say, are very, very AI ChatGPT oriented. And it's like, I tell it all the time, I'm like, I don't know. Let's not say, in the marketing world, like let's kind of use more down to earth tones and just having that conversation with it until it gets it right.
Yes. And you can actually talk to it like a person.
Exactly. And it's so nice too. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry I didn't meet your expectations. I'm like, yeah, me too.
Oh, that's funny. And for those of you that don't know, I have it right here. The AI Prompt Handbook that you wrote with Ginger Bell and Tony Gaza.
Yeah.
And this is a great book. I bought it as soon as it came out and I love it. So it's a great book for those of you that don't know. We'll put it in the show notes as well. Those are great tips. Those are really great tips. So batching time, blocking your time, batching, same thing. Blocking your time, blocking your content. You're going to do it all at once. That really helps. I used to do a lot of video marketing when I was originating, doing it before other people in a small community that we lived in. It went really, really well as I did it, but I had to do it when I did it when I thought about it. Like at the moment, I thought, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to do it right now. But I could do that because I had a team that was taking care of things and taking care of everything else. But when I do it now, I'm doing it in block time because I think it's important to do that.
And kind of, going along the lines of, okay, you came up with a really great idea and you did the video right then and there. It's okay to take that really great idea and on the notes on your phone, write it down. You have like a full script in your head, like ready to go, or, oh, I want this video to be me moving around here or showing this screen or whatever. Write it all down so you don't forget. And then on the day that you do go to batch your content, you don't have to think about your content. You have it all written down from all these ideas throughout the last couple of weeks that have just come to you, or questions that you were asked from your, referral partners or clients. You're like, oh, that would make a great video. I could respond to that in a video or a post or whatever. Write it all down. So then the day that you're batching your content, you got the list and you're not spending even more time trying to come up with the content.
Absolutely. I've done that from day one. I would write notes in my notes on my phone. I would say, oh, this is a great idea. And it's called video tips. And then each video tip is, and I never got to all of them, but they were great ideas and I can still use them.
I love it. Yeah.
That's a great tip. I'm excited you're here today because I want to talk about mindset today. Normally, I don't have a topic. We just talk about whatever. But since I'm talking to Kevin Brierton today, I thought it would be really fun to talk about some habits and mindset and that type of thing. Things that can hold us back if we let them, obstacles. So Tell us what you do. What's your routine in the morning personally to get ready for the day, for the work day, let's say?
So a few things. I set my alarm. I played around with this over the years. For a long time, I set it at 5:30. That was good. And I kind of got my internal clock at 5:30 for a long time. About 2 years ago, I started playing around with 3:30. 3:30 is a little early for me. I actually like 3:30, but it doesn't really work with your life because you need to be awake when other people are home.
Yes.
So, like I would never see my wife. I never see my kids really. I go to bed at like 7 o'clock if I was waking up at 3:30. I'm the type of person I like to get at least 7 hours of sleep. I know my body functions that way better. So I get up typically around 4:30. Sometimes I'll cheat and go sleep a little longer depending on what was going on. But I'd say 4:30 up, like this morning, 4:30 up, wake up, try to stay off social media. I mean, you guys hear all this stuff, but like really social media is not the thing you want to get on. It's so easy to go down rabbit holes on everything. And all of a sudden you're like 20 minutes later, like, what am I looking at? I actually did that this morning after I did a couple other things, after I was on the way to the gym. But as I was on, I looked at something and then I went down a rabbit hole and I'm like, I need to be not on social media at all. So a couple of things. Gym in the morning because it gets out of the way. Why in the morning? It's done. You have to get it done in the morning because every time I go, you know what? Why don't I do it in the afternoon? I don't do it. And so I have to get that done. That's something, a huge commitment I made last year. A little habit the hack there is just go to the gym. Even if you spend 10 minutes at the gym, the habit starts forming. So January last year, I'm like, I got to do this. I started showing up. I would literally just show up, work out for 10 minutes and leave. And I just wanted to get the habit going. And surprise, surprise, I went to the gym more than I've ever gone this last year. And it's just awesome. So I would say that's huge, is wake up early, don't get on social media, control your day, right? So really, you don't want any media that's going to deter you from your plan before noon. So no media before noon is, I believe, the best way to do it. Even if you think you need to read some industry articles or whatever, read it afternoon, do all your stuff. And then that's your talking points maybe for tomorrow. But it's really, really bad for our brains when we go down those rabbit holes. So that's huge. Morning routine for me, though. Something else I used to do was lay out all my clothes for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I have to think, okay, I have a meeting at this time or the presentation at this time. Something I do now is I just wear black shirts and gray pants. Like, I'm done. Like,
it makes it easy.
Yeah, and I have polo shirts that are black and I have logo shirts that I wear. And I'm like, I just want to take the thought out of it. I've been doing that almost for a year now. So I don't have to take things to dry cleaners because my polo shirts I can wash them and I don't have to iron them. Little things like that just save your mental power for all the big things. And that's something I've learned is, we really need to make these things easy for ourselves. And there's a saying by Greg McCowan in Effortless that I love: make the essential easy and make the non-essential hard. And so some of these things I've already done before reading that, but I'm really kind of trying to double down on putting some roadblocks in the way of things that I shouldn't be doing or they're non-essential.
I love that. That's great. Do you do any type of listening to anything that's motivational in the morning? Not watching, because we want to stay away from media. We just talked about that, but you can have it on your app. You can have I like to download the podcast that I pick out. So you're not, because on the podcast, it's a little better because you're not just throwing a bunch of stuff. Or if you're on social media, you're scrolling and ads pop up and it's just. Right. You get lost.
Yeah. So I think the best thing to do there is download a book or two on Audible and then, listen to a podcast or two. But, podcasts, we have to be a little careful. And obviously we're on a podcast now. You can go down rabbit holes and you think, oh, Kevin does that. All right, well, let me go buy my black shirts and my gray pants and let me go to the gym at 4:30. And it's got to be about your story, so that's where I have to be a little careful because I don't get all excited about listening to some cool book or something. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do that. I think actually moving forward, I'm going to do a little bit more of music in the morning, just because then I already have the plan, right? I already formed the plan before. I don't need somebody else in my ear at 4:30 in the morning at the gym trying to tell me how I should do something different. And then also different at 8 o'clock. I'm like, it's really defeating if you keep doing that. So I think music's probably the most important. There's two books that I listen to over and over is Think and Grow Rich and Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I've read books over the years where it's like, I pay for Audible for like the last, like, I don't know, 9 years, and I buy a book every month.
Me too.
And all of a sudden it's like, you've listened to a lot of books, which is cool. But then you go, did you really go deep on anything?
Yes.
So morning routine for me is listen to Think and Grow Rich or Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then and try to implement those, because there's so much in those two books that you can listen to those for like 10 years and still not do everything. It's really pretty fascinating.
Yeah. You know what I love? There's an app called Self-Talk Plus by Shad Helmstetter that I know you've heard of, and I've talked about it a lot on this podcast. But it has self-talk that's already there. So it's like having somebody affirming you for 15 minutes, affirming what you're trying to do. And you can pick any topic from it, but it's called Self-Talk Plus. And I just think it's amazing. I've been listening to it for years. I used to listen to it on the CDs, and now I have it on the app. Thank goodness. You can take it wherever you go. But starting your day out specifically in one type of self-talk, like one topic of self-talk, it's amazing. And repetition is what causes, that's why you read the same two books over and over again, is because you're repeating, right? And you're going deep with it. And so I love self-talk for that reason. And in the morning, making sure that you're having that time where it's just a few minutes when you're shaving or fixing your hair, getting ready in the morning, or whatever you're doing. But what I would suggest to the listeners is it's great if you have it in your ear, with your ear pod or any of the devices that you use, so that you're not bothering somebody else, right? Whoever's around you at the time. Because my husband and I, we're the only ones here. But sometimes in the morning, he doesn't always want to listen to everything I'm listening to, the podcast and all the stuff I'm listening to. But the self-talk, I make sure that I don't put that in my ear, that I have it playing out loud, because I want him to hear it.
Interesting.
I want him to hear it too. And it's amazing what happens when, if I could do anything over again as a parent, I would be playing self-talk out loud every single day, and not even talk about it, like just play it in the background. Because when we're learning another language, like I grew up speaking English and Spanish in our home, and I learned Spanish automatically, and we learn English automatically just by hearing what's around us. And so if I could give any advice to a parent, that's what I would say is, if there, there's things when you get to be an empty nester and you're watching your kids raise their kids, you look at life differently and you think of things because you're more calm. You're not raising a family anymore. You're not in the thick of it. And you think about the things that you could have done differently. And that's probably my number one thing that I would have done differently, is to play it in the background. I used to hear Brian Buffini. He used to talk about that he did do that with his kids. He played Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar and all on the loudspeakers over their home. And those kids could recite them. They could recite everything he was playing all the time, word for word. And you know what? They're all successful. They've all done really, really well because he did that. So my son, Kenny, he actually plays self-talk for his now 8-month-old daughter. He's been playing it from the time she could hear, right? She's only 8 months old. You think, oh, they're too young, they're not going to pay attention to that. She's picking up on it. She is. And it's self-talk. You know what it is? I'll give a plug. It is Snoop Dogg Doggyland, it's called. And it's great affirmations for kids. It's amazing. And he does it with some music, and you've got the vibe going on. And I just think that's amazing. So I think that's fantastic. And I would do it. So he has heard what I said about what I would do if I had to do it over again. And we were pretty intentional with him about self-talk, but it's such a great thing to do. So I would advise any parent, any grandparent who's around their kids, I play self-talk when my grandkids are around as well, because I want them to pick up on it. And their parents are real into it as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like my concern with that is like my mental narrative, I guess, would be like, well, I don't want to like push him away and some like stuff that they don't want to hear about. And when dad's just being daddy, whatever, and he gets up early, and why doesn't he sleep in? And it's like, But I think what happens is you still need to do it, because they may not hear it now, but it will be subliminal message that will resonate at some point in their life. And you
Yes.
are much better leading by example, and not pushing it down their throat, but also kind of leading them the right way. And so I think that's where I'm at. We talk about I drive my daughter to school every day, and then I take my son once a week.
Mhm.
And we talk about like what you're grateful for, and say, "Oh, Dad," I'm like, but you know what? I'd rather
Perfect.
just say it. It's okay. And then over
Yes.
time, it's like there's little things that she's opened up about, or different things, and it's like it's just pretty cool. And I was thinking about it today. I'm like, that's easy for me to go, well, why am I taking her to school if I can just go to the office a little bit earlier or do this? I mean, it's like, but what am I working for to lead
Exactly.
people? And I'm leading her, that she's going to impact people. And it's kind of it's just really something special for me, and something, people, one habit I'll tell you is I started taking my kids to school every Wednesday when they were young, and we mapped out the schedule. And I said, one of the things my wife didn't love was, just working all the time in the mortgage business. And so I said, okay, well, I need to work a late night. So let's just set up a late night, and then I'll take the kids in the morning.
Mhm.
So Wednesdays was my late night, and Wednesdays was the time to take the kids to school. Now, schedule shifted a little bit so I can take my daughter a little bit earlier. So I take her every day. But I'm so glad I did that, because I could have found so many reasons not to do it.
Yes.
But by doing that, I've had years of time with them in the morning that was it was really special, and so I'm really glad I did that. So habits are important, and habits to be around and be intentional around your family. Man, I mean, I feel like my kids are growing up, and everybody says this how time flies, but you really need to be intentional about what you're doing and what you're doing and why you're doing it with them. And then the background noise, like you're saying, have these ideas going on the background. I think it's huge. I love that idea.